Yeah, I think we'll let it play out as we get closer to the cut down. Um, those are all conversations that we are always having, but it's those are tough decisions. I'd like to keep everybody, but
The Cleveland Browns, Ocho, are trading Kenny Pickett to the Raiders
Yeah.
in exchange for a 2026 fifth-round pick. Taken 20th overall by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2022 draft, Pickett has now been traded 3 times in his career.
Gives a chance to rookies to really compete for that number 2 quarterback spot. Also, I think it guarantees us that we'll see one of the rookies play a significant amount of time this year after Flacco is done with the however many games he will play. I don't see Flacco playing an entire season, so this tells me you have a fair or more of a QB competition for the number 2 spot, and so we'll see who is the number 2 as the weeks go on.
At last, the Cleveland Browns are finally turning their attention to the development of Shedeur Sanders. For weeks, he stood on the sideline, a promising rookie forced to watch, to wait, and to wonder if his moment would ever come. But now, the narrative has shifted. The Browns, a franchise long plagued by indecision at quarterback, are beginning to look directly at Sanders as more than just a backup plan. The timing couldn't be more dramatic. With Kenny Pickett shipped off to the Las Vegas Raiders, the competition narrows, and the weight of Cleveland's future suddenly rests on 2 names, Shedeur Sanders and Dillon Gabriel. Both young, both hungry, both desperate to prove they can command this offense. These past few days inside Berea have been chaotic. Trades, headlines, internal debates. But out of the storm comes clarity. This is no longer about depth charts or preseason experiments. This is about the Browns choosing a direction, and in Sanders, they may finally see the spark of something lasting. The door is open. The question now is, who will step through it?
And the funny thing, the good thing for Stewart, as well as Dillon Gabriel as well, is when you take the scout team reps, hey, you're going against the number 1 defense.
For Shedeur Sanders, this moment must feel like a long-awaited exhale. After weeks of uncertainty, doubt, and whispers about his place within Cleveland's plans, the tide is finally turning in his favor. Analysts are calling it a golden opportunity, the kind of chance that every young quarterback craves. And for Sanders, it comes not in the form of a meaningless headline, but in real, tangible reps, consistent scout team snaps. Repetition, time under center, the currency of growth in the NFL. With Kenny Pickett traded away and Joe Flacco entrenched as the veteran starter, the battlefield is now clearly defined. Sanders versus Gabriel. No more cluttered quarterback room. No more splitting scraps of practice time 4 ways. Instead, a direct duel where every throw, every read, every decision in practice could shift the balance of Cleveland's future. But this move, while promising, hasn't come without criticism. Voices like G. Bush have been sharp in their rebuke, arguing that this decision came far too late. Sanders, he says, should have been handed these reps from the very beginning of camp, when the foundation of a season is laid, when growth compounds day after day. Instead, the Browns' hesitation has forced his development into a compressed timeline. Weeks of potential growth wasted. And that's where the debate intensifies. Has Cleveland simply delayed the inevitable rise of Shedeur Sanders? Or have they, through indecision and mismanagement, cost him precious time that can never be recovered? That is the question now circling Berea, and it's a question with no easy answer.
Why are you giving him reps? Why would you give him all these reps when you could have just said, I'm going to go with, Flacco, Dillon Gabriel, and Shedeur Sanders, and at least you could have got some more reps out of the 2 rookies, but you wasted all those reps on Kenny Pickett. Now he's not on the roster. I guess, man, people is showing the laser eyes. I don't understand the laser eyes. Like, you broke even, bro.
But to be clear, Kenny Pickett wasn't the only name erased from Cleveland's roster. One by one, other players were removed as well, a series of moves that carried a message no one could mistake. The Browns were no longer content with muddled rotations, half-hearted efforts, or wasted opportunities. They wanted clarity. They wanted accountability. And above all, they wanted to create real chances for players like Shedeur Sanders to step into the spotlight and seize their moment. Behind the scenes, all eyes turned to Andrew Berry. The Browns' general manager had been keeping watch, weighing every decision, every outcome, every sign of progress or regression. And when head coach Kevin Stefanski made the baffling choice to field an offensive line so porous that Sanders was sacked repeatedly, Barry's patience snapped. That performance didn't just spark outrage among fans. It ignited a storm of criticism from analysts, insiders, and media voices across the NFL landscape. Barry's response was swift, decisive, and ruthless. Contracts were terminated. Entire units were reshaped. The defensive line was gutted, players released. Even quarterback Tyler Huntley, who had briefly stepped in when Sanders was sidelined, was cut loose. These weren't just transactions. They were statements, thunderous declarations that mediocrity would no longer be tolerated, and that no one, coach, veteran, or substitute, would be allowed to jeopardize the franchise's future. And at the center of that future, Barry seemed to make one thing clear: Shedeur Sanders. His commitment to the young quarterback isn't a matter of whispers or speculation. It's visible, it's documented, it's real. After Sanders' first preseason performance, when he delivered a poised and confident showing despite the chaos around him, Barry made a point to seek him out directly. He shook his hand. He told him he was proud. In a league where words from the front office often come laced with caution, that moment spoke volumes. It wasn't just encouragement. It was belief. For many, that exchange confirmed what they had long suspected. Andrew Barry sees Shedeur Sanders as more than just another name on the depth chart. He sees him as a potential cornerstone, a future that Cleveland could finally build around. And yet, while Barry's faith in Sanders was becoming increasingly evident, the same could not be said of Kevin Stefanski. Time and again, the head coach deflected, diverted, and downplayed. When Sanders impressed in preseason, Stefanski brushed it aside with generic lines about developing all the quarterbacks. Instead of recognition, Sanders was met with dismissal. Instead of praise, he was folded back into the crowd. To many inside and outside the locker room, it was a glaring sign. Stefanski wasn't ready to invest in Sanders. He wasn't willing to hand him the keys. And so, the Browns found themselves split, a general manager reshaping the roster to give Shedeur every chance to succeed, and a head coach whose hesitation threatened to hold him back. A franchise moving in two directions at once, caught between belief and doubt, between progress and paralysis. The kind of conflict that could define not just the season, but the very future of Cleveland football.
Will you also set the pecking order following, meaning quarterback 2, 3, and 4, or will there be a competition right through Cincinnati week?
Yeah, well, I'll talk to we'll have the team in tomorrow, so I'll be able to talk through a bunch of different things with our players. But in terms of, where people are, first string, second string, those type of things, not really thinking about that right this minute, Tony. That's more stuff that will.
But now, with Kenny Pickett out of the picture, Kevin Stefanski appears intent on rewriting the story of Shedeur Sanders. In a recent interview, the head coach struck a different tone, one that hinted at change, one that suggested he was finally prepared to invest in Sanders' growth and development. For weeks, Stefanski had been guarded, vague, almost dismissive when it came to the young quarterback. Yet now, his words carried a new weight, a recognition that the Browns could no longer afford to look past Sanders. This shift signals something larger than a coaching adjustment. It marks the beginning of a recalibration inside the Browns organization. With Pickett gone, the quarterback room has narrowed. No more distractions, no more complicated pecking orders. The Browns are committed to the signal callers they have left. And for Sanders, that means his name is no longer on the outside looking in. He is in the mix. He is part of the plan. For Shedeur, the implications are enormous. More snaps, more time with the offense, more chances to build confidence in a league where confidence is everything. This isn't just about practice reps or preseason opportunities. It's about carving out a place in Cleveland's future. Every throw, every series, every week from here on out carries the weight of proof that he belongs, proof that he can rise above the chaos that has defined the Browns for decades. And make no mistake, this is a pivotal moment. For Sanders, it could be the first step toward becoming Cleveland's long-sought answer at quarterback. For the Browns, it could be the decision that finally alters the trajectory of a franchise defined by instability. One way or another, what happens now will shape not just Sanders' future, but the very identity of the Cleveland Browns moving forward.
I don't concern myself with outside type of things. But I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better. And that's what we'll stay committed to. And that's what's important to me.
The Cleveland Browns' latest decisions have stripped away all the smoke and confusion. And in doing so, they've revealed the truth. Shedeur Sanders is no longer just another rookie fighting for scraps of attention. He's being positioned at the very heart of the team's future plans. For weeks, his role was clouded by uncertainty. Kevin Stefanski seemed intent on favoring veterans like Kenny Pickett or Dillon Gabriel, leaving Sanders on the outside looking in. But with Pickett now traded to the Raiders, the entire equation has shifted. The Browns have cleared a path, creating space for Sanders to finally receive the focus, development, and investment he should have had from the start. This is bigger than roster adjustments. This is a philosophical change, a declaration that the Browns are finally beginning to prioritize their long-term vision. And in that vision, Shedeur Sanders stands at the center. The fingerprints of Andrew Berry are all over this moment. The general manager's faith in Sanders has been visible from the very beginning. In the words of encouragement he offered after that first preseason performance, and in the sweeping roster shakeups designed to give Sanders room to grow. Berry has always known that nurturing young talent is the only way forward, and his commitment suggests he sees Sanders as more than just a short-term project. He sees him as a quarterback who could, one day, lead this franchise in a truly meaningful way. Even Kevin Stefanski, under relentless pressure from fans and analysts, has been forced to pivot. His recent statements about working towards Sanders' development may have been sparked by outside noise, but they also mark a shift. For the first time, Stefanski seems willing to put Sanders on a path he once denied him. Whether this change is born of genuine belief or simply survival remains to be seen. Pickett's departure isn't just a trade, it's a turning point. It's the Browns signaling that they are ready to move forward, ready to gamble on a future that belongs to Sanders. And for Shedeur himself, this is more than an opportunity. It's a crucible, a chance to prove that his potential can translate onto the biggest stage. If he can seize it, the Browns' gamble won't just pay off. It could reshape the identity of this franchise for years to come. But that's where the debate now lies. Was this the right time to push Sanders forward, or should these chances have been as weeks ago? Can Kevin Stefanski's sudden embrace of his development be trusted, or is it simply a reaction to the storm outside? And most importantly, does Shedeur Sanders truly have what it takes to become the face of the Cleveland Browns? Let us know what you think. Share your thoughts in the comments below. This story is only beginning, and your voice is part of it.